$27,000. That's how much credit card debt I built up before I realized the entire shopping experience, in stores, online, everywhere, was designed by people whose job is to make me spend money I didn't plan to spend. And they're good at it. Like, scientifically good. There are pricing tricks that work even when you know they're tricks. Store layouts that turn a 5-minute trip into $40 of stuff that wasn't on the list. Checkout systems built to catch you when your willpower is already gone. This video is the breakdown I wish someone had given me before I became a case study. How they get you, why it works, and what actually stops it. Let's start with the dumbest little trick that's made people billions. Let's talk about the stupidest little trick that's made people, including me, spend billions. $9.99. Your brain cares way more about the left digit than the cents. $14.99 doesn't feel like 15. It feels like 14 and something, like you're still in the cheaper neighborhood. That's called the left digit effect, and it's why prices ending in 0.99 boost sales by around 24% on average. Not because you're dumb, because your brain is trying to be efficient, and it gets exploited. And here's how it messes with your budget. It's only $9.99 doesn't happen once. It happens 20 times over a few weeks. A drink here, an app there, some small Amazon thing you barely remember. That's how credit card balances get built. One tiny non-event at a time. The most dangerous jump is when the left digit changes. $3.99 feels wildly cheaper than $4 even though it's 1 penny. So here's the counter. In your head, always round up. $9.99 is 10. $14.99 is 15. And you make the decision based on the rounded number. Your budget doesn't do cent magic. Here's the next little trick. They don't sell you the product first. They sell you the reference point. That big was $129, now $79 tag. Your brain stops asking, is this worth $79? And starts asking, am I getting 50 off? And it works. Almost half of people rate the exact same product higher when there's a crossed out price next to it. Not because they're dumb, because brains love a deal more than they love math. Also, quick reality check. This isn't a conspiracy theory. JCPenney paid about $50 million and Kohl's paid $6.5 million over false reference pricing. So yeah, sometimes that was price is basically vibes. Then comes the Decoy. 3 options that look like a fair choice, but it's really a steering wheel. One package is intentionally bad, so the middle one feels responsible, and you end up spending more. Dan Ariely did this with The Economist. With a Decoy, 84% picked the expensive combo. Without it, only 32% did. Same people, same offers, different framing. Big money. Anchors set your expectation. Decoys steer your hand. 1-2 punch. So here's what I do now. Before I look at options, I pick a max price. I translate discount into price per use. And if I spot a decoy, I force it back to 2 real choices. Or I walk. Last month, I was shopping for running shoes. 3 options, middle one labeled best value. I caught myself basically mid-click before I even knew what my max was. Old me would have called that being smart. It wasn't. It was being guided. Ever notice how milk, eggs, and bread are basically on a scenic tour of the store? That's not an accident. The just running in real quick trip is exactly what the layout is built for. More steps, more aisles, more, oh yeah, we're out of... And suddenly you're buying stuff that was never on the list. And where do they put the pricey, high-margin stuff? Right where your eyes naturally land. Eye level is buy level. The golden zone is basically from a little under your eyes to your chest, because if you see it first, you consider it first. Then you hit the checkout gauntlet. Up to 80% of those little checkout items get bought impulsively. And guess what you are at that point? Tired. Decision fatigued. The store is counting on you being cooked. Hard truth. Almost 80% of purchase decisions happen in the aisle, not at home. And here's the punchline. A supermarket gets about 41 minutes to work on you. Online gets about 3 seconds. The store is a labyrinth. Online is a trapdoor. So, make a list and treat it like a contract. Set a time limit and a route. Get in, get the stuff, get out. And checkout is no man's land. Buy nothing there, ever. Quick question, what's your personal checkout kryptonite? Candy, soda, energy drinks, gum? Mine used to be those stupid energy drinks, every single time. Drop yours in the comments. Online is the trapdoor version of that store maze, because the goal isn't show you options. The goal is to remove the exact moment where you would have gotten rational. One click, saved cards, autofill, that's not convenience. That's them deleting the speed bump. And that speed bump was your brain going, wait, do we need this? One click bumps sales something like 28 to 35%. Not because people suddenly got richer, because fewer steps equals less thinking. And they care a lot, because about 70% of shopping carts get abandoned. So companies spend millions making it harder for you to back out. It gets worse at night. Around 72% of people shop after their bedtime. Your self-control is cooked, the store is open, and I'll just order it real quick becomes a personality. About half of those late buys get regretted later. Ask me how I know. I once ordered a Bluetooth speaker at 1 a.m. I've used it maybe 3 times. Biscuit got scared of it once, and that was its peak contribution to society. And when you pay with a card or BNPL, a quick decision turns into a monthly bill you argue with later. The good news is all of this breaks if you add friction back in. I'll give you the exact steps at the end of this video, a full 7-day reset. But the core idea is simple. Every speed bump you put between impulse and purchase is a chance for your brain to wake up. Then there's the classic, timers. Only 3 left, ends tonight. That stuff doesn't exist to inform you, it exists to put your brain into emergency mode, like you're deciding whether to buy water during a hurricane. And it works. Urgency cuts your browsing time by about 30%, and it can double those impulsive add to cart clicks. Even if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I know this is a trick. Cool. Knowing it's a trick doesn't stop the effect. Time pressure still makes people measurably worse with money. Because you're not chasing value anymore. You're chasing avoiding a loss. What if I miss it? So here's the counterpunch. Every time you see a timer, say this. If I'm not allowed to buy it today, I'm not allowed to buy it at all. Next, wish list, not cart. Cart is for planned purchases only. And the reality check question, would I still want this at full price next week? If the answer is no, you already have your answer. Also, if that timer sentence just saved you from future you rolling their eyes at the bank app, hit like and subscribe. No sponsors here, just stuff I wish someone had drilled into my head earlier. Alright, next, let's talk about why paying with a card doesn't hurt and why that's a problem. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. Paying with a card doesn't feel like paying. Cash hits your brain like an ow moment. There's literally research showing the pain center lights up more. But with a card, especially tap to pay, the pain gets muted. It's delayed, it's mixed in with a bunch of other swipes, and your brain basically goes, future me problem. And it changes what you'll spend. In an MIT study, people were willing to pay almost double for NBA tickets with a credit card versus cash. Double. That's not you being bad with money. That's the payment method messing with your perception. Tap to pay makes small stuff almost invisible. Around 10% more spending and about 2 extra transactions a month. Too little, it's only $5 moments add up fast. Then the real trap. Credit cards separate the fun part, buying, from the consequence, the bill. At 22% APR, that's a machine. Quick wake-up math. $5,000 at 20% APR with minimum payments can take 23 years, and you'll pay $7,723 just in interest. So here's what works. For your problem categories, Amazon, clothes, eating out, use debit, cash, or an envelope limit. Do a card reality check. Track the purchase immediately, not end of month. And if you use a credit card, pay it weekly, so the consequence stays close. My $27,000 credit card debt didn't come from one big purchase. It came from hundreds of tap-and-go moments where I never really felt the ow. Alright, here's the 7-day anti-manipulation protocol. No motivation speeches. You don't need more discipline. You need an environment where discipline isn't getting jumped in a parking lot every day. Days 1 and 2. Audit. Track only 2 things: every impulse buy and what triggered it. Timer, $9.99 pricing, checkout junk, late night scrolling, best value option. Just write the trigger next to the purchase. Then circle your top 2 categories, the ones that keep catching you. For me, it was eating out and Amazon little stuff. Days 3 and 4. Rebuild your environment. Turn off one-click. Delete saved cards. Kill autofill. Log out of shopping apps and get them off your home screen. Unsubscribe from the marketing emails. Then set a 24-hour rule for anything over your number, 30, 50, 100 bucks, and treat it like a stop sign, not a suggestion. Days 5 through 7. Test run. For those 2 problem categories, use hard limits, cash, envelope, or debit, and track spending immediately. Goal is not perfect. Goal is cutting impulses in half, because the math is stupidly real. 10 impulse buys a month at 29 bucks is about $280 a month, $3,400 a year. Half that, you keep $1,700. That's not mindset, that's math. And yeah, Sarah still laughs at my spreadsheet with 14 tabs. But that tracking is how I found the leaks. You're not bad with money. You were trained to spend. Starting today, you train back.